recording. No, so I'm going to record this. Give it a few minutes. I see one student that's trying to join right now, and we'll try and let him join before I start. Okay. All right. Hey, welcome. All right. So I am Dr. Spicer. I'll be your instructor this semester. We'll try and do these online sessions at least once a week at least, and then of course I can always get online and do a Google Hangouts with anyone that needs additional help or wants to chat. But we'll kind of go over some housekeeping things here in the room. I am. You can't hear. Okay. Is anyone else able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It is on your end. Others can hear me. All right, so hopefully they'll be able to work that out, and if not, there is the video that you'll be able to replay. Just give it a minute though. All right, so I think we've got other people. So, all right. All right. Well, hopefully they'll be able to work out this sound issue. There will be a video recorded. To move on. Hopefully. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just refreshing it helped. Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. Did you have a question?
Yes. I just want to know if I can leave early. I can leave the session early because I'm going to work by 2:30. I can leave early.
Sure. Oh no, right. This will be recorded, so you can catch anything if you miss anything. So it's not required that you be here. It's just good if you can hear it and ask your questions. But yeah, you can definitely leave early.
Okay. Thank you for your permission.
Oh sure. No worries there. Okay. So with the course here. I'll just go over some of the maintenance here. Obviously, we have the announcement sections. Hopefully, you're getting emails on that, but there is a setting if you don't want to. But please check the announcement sections if you turn that setting off. And one of the first things I'd like to mention, though, is the registration triage. They have that going up until 6 tonight. So I just found out about that this morning. I posted it. So if there's other classes, or if you're in the wrong class, or another class got canceled and you need to make up a class, or the times issue is probably not an issue because everything's online now. But if you have any kind of class issue, they have a triage going on right now till 6. for the Northeast campus. And you can just use this email here, and there's a flyer with a little more information. I wanted to at least get that out of the way. And then, you've seen the meeting announcement, so that's why you're here. And we're having a survey. Let me go ahead and pull that up as far as when we'll have these in the future. And what it looks like so far is that actually 6 o'clock seems to work really well for everybody, but Monday at 6 seems to edge out just a little bit. But I'll let the survey go until Friday, and then on the weekend I'll post which one won out, and I'll set up a schedule for the course in that to meet that availability. But so far it does look like Mondays at 6, or at least definitely at 6 o'clock seems to work for the majority of the people in this class. So we'll look at that, like I say, on Friday. I'll definitely see what the overall winner is for the date and time, and that's when I'll schedule these online sessions for. All right, so you should go to the start here if you haven't already. I give a little bit of information. Definitely we'll try and answer your emails and hangouts usually the same day, but I do say just give me up to 2 days just in case things get a little hectic towards the middle of the semester and things like that. I can get inundated with grading and trying to answer back, but I'm pretty good at usually getting back the same day. And attendance and dates. So this class was supposed to be a face-to-face, but we went to all online for the summer, and so our attendance has changed. So for the online class, the attendance is done through assignments. So there's the 6 assignments that I've shown here and the dates that I'm going to take attendance. So for example, the chapter 12 discussion board thread, it's due the 7th, and so on the 8th I'll go and look and see who's already posted for the chapter, the discussion board thread, and those that have posted by the 8th will get credit for attendance. So there's only 6 attendance dates and times. I mean, we're a 10-week course. It's not that many anyway. And these are the assignments. So then there's a wireless lab, managing users. And for the most part, it's usually like the day after they're due is when I'm taking the attendance for them. So these are the assignments. Please get those turned in on time. You should try to get all the assignments turned in on time, but these especially try to get in on time because they are your attendance for the course. They require me to post office hours. I'm usually way more available than what I have, but so I've posted these as my office hours, the 1 to 4 on Monday and Wednesday, 1 to 3 Tuesdays and Thursdays. But by all means, I'm usually available, and I'll say pretty much from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I'll pretty much respond to you and meet up with you if you're wanting to meet up, and that's 7 days a week, right? So it really doesn't matter, but these are my posted office hours. And if you want to meet with me, it's really easy to schedule an appointment here with this Calendly app. It'll show you when I am available, and you can just post that in there and we can meet up, or you can just email me or send me a Google Hangouts and say I need to meet. I'm pretty flexible, but I've also included this app just to make it a little easier if you wanted to schedule something. NetLab. So we're going to be using NetLabs. I'll go over that here in a little bit when we get to that section. But we'll be using NetLabs for our labs. And this is just saying that our default password is password01. But I'll get to that a little later. Then there's a little introduction about me. I have decades of industry experience. I just recently switched over to academia with the last 2 years, and so hopefully I'll try and bring in a lot of my real world experience with working with systems and in a large and even small environments too. I've got a pretty wide range of experience that I hopefully will be able to share with you. So these are the start here, right? So give you some information. We've got the announcements that'll come periodically whenever there's something that I really need you to know about. The calendar. So for this course and all my courses, I really like to use the calendar, and whatever is in the calendar is what's due and when. For this course, because we went online, I believe I've made everything due on Sundays at midnight. But just check and make sure, for any assignment, it'll be marked with the date and time, and it will be in the calendar. And I do have a rule that if it's not in the calendar, if I forget it in the calendar, then that's on me and it's not due. So it'll be in the calendar. Everything should be in the calendar from now until the end of the class. Everything should be available and ready. I don't expect to add anything new, although if anything were to be added, the example might be some extra credit assignment. I'll get into that a little, but for the most part, everything for the class should be already posted in the calendar and in the Blackboard, so you could work ahead if you so desired. Let's see here. We go pretty aggressively in the summer, so it is only 10 weeks, but we still cover the 16 weeks of material. So we'll do 2 chapters a week for 2 weeks, and then you'll have an exam on the 3rd week. So it's not too bad. So it's like a chapter and a half a week, because you really don't have to have everything totally done, like the quizzes and that, until the 3rd week. But it is still pretty aggressive. I will admit it is pretty aggressive. And we'll cover the 2 chapters each week for 2 weeks, and then the exam. So we'll have an exam in week 3, and right now it is available. So I mean, technically could take it. I would advise being prepared for it, but it's available, but it's due the 21st. So you have that whole week. You really have from now until the 21st to be ready to take the first exam. All the exams are available and ready, so you can take them at any time. I've put a thing here, slides. You can get the chapters in that, but I think I've also included them in the lessons as well. So under lessons, I have weekly folders broken out so for each exam, basically weeks 1 through 3, weeks 4 through 6, and weeks 7 through 9, and then our final exam will be the week 10. But so we'll go into the weeks 1 through 3, and you have a separate folder for each of the weeks. And as I said, you'll have 2 chapters for 2 weeks, and then the exam in the 3rd week. But there will be things due on the 3rd week. So if we go into the assignments and labs and discussions, right? So this wireless lab is due on the 3rd week. Let me go back to week 1. So this is week 1, and so I have the assignments, labs, discussions, projects. Anything due that week by that Sunday should be in this folder. I try to at least try to make it there. So anything due on that Sunday of that week is in that folder, the assignments, labs, discussions folder in each week. So for example, we have this Proctorio check quiz. So Proctorio is the software we use to proctor the exams. And so I've developed a very simple 3-question quiz for you to take that uses the proctoring software to ensure that you've got Proctorio set up and running correctly. So in order to get Proctorio set up and running, you would go to getproctorio.com in Google Chrome. So you have to use Chrome when you take the exams. So right now I have it installed. I'm going to uninstall it. I'm going to remove it from Chrome and just show you how this is done. So I'm going to go back to getproctorio.com, and so now I can install it. So I'm going to click here to install. I'm going to add it to Chrome and add the extension. And then it's going to install Proctorio into Chrome for me, and now it's installed. So it's been added to Chrome. I can close this, and then now I go back to getproctorio.com, and it says I've successfully got it installed, and you'll see the gray shield with a slash on it, and so you'll know it's installed. And then you can come back and you can take the quiz. You can ignore the secure exam proctor. That's just part of the proctoring software to let it know that this is there's a remotely proctored quiz or exam. So you just click on that and you would take the quiz. Like I said, it's just 3 simple questions, and that you have answers to, like what's your major, can you see this question, and and tell me a fun fact about yourself. But it's just enough so you can get assurance that the software is installed correctly and running. So that's due by this Sunday. So please take that and make sure that you're able to take the exams. Then you have the introductions, discussion board, and then the Chapter 12 and Chapter 11 discussion boards. So those are due also this week. Like I say, in each weekly folder, there's an assignments, labs, discussion folder, and anything due for that week should be in that folder. I'll go back out to the week 1. Now you'll notice that there are the quizzes that are out here in week 1. They are not technically due at any time, but they are required. I do have a marked on the calendar for a recommended suggested date, but they are not due at any time because I want you to be able to take them over and over to study for the exams, and including for the final, you'll have access and be able to take them over and over to study for the final even. It does keep the highest score, so don't worry about it. It will keep the highest score. So if you take it 4 times you score an 80, a 100, a 90, and a 80, it'll keep the 100 because you've got 100 on it. That's the highest score. But you definitely want to take it multiple times because there are a question bank for each quiz. So there's probably 40 questions in each bank for each chapter. So you want to take the quiz at least 3, if not more times, to be able to see all the potential questions from a chapter. And the test will be made up of all 4 chapters from those 3 weeks. So like this one will be chapter 12, 11, and let's see here, 10 and 7. So that the exam here due on the 21st will cover these 4 chapters. There's 40 questions from each chapter, so there may be 160 questions for the question banks for that exam. But if you take each of these 4 quizzes for 3 to 4 times, you should have seen every potential question that will be on the exam. Best way to study for it. And like I said, you have unlimited attempts and unlimited chances to see the questions. I'll break out the videos into folders if there's multiple videos. Towards the end, there's only 1 video, so there isn't a folder, but for like chapter 12, I broke it up into 6 videos, different videos. And then I will definitely give information about upcoming assignments that are due. So this build lab environment explains what is needed for building the lab environment, but it's not due, it's due week 2. So you see that's due week 2. It's in the week 1 folder so that you can work on it, so that you can have it and get it done by the time week 2 arrives. So that's why it's not in assignments labs folder in week 1, but in the assignments labs folder in week 2, you'll find the build lab. And the same with this watch video project. It's due in week 4, but it's very, very long assignment. It's a 4-page summary of the video that you're to watch. And the same with this Active Directory lab due in week 2. Let me go to week 2 and just show you. So the assignments labs folders, Active Directory lab, and the build environment lab, and then also the chapter discussion boards. So you'll see that it's in there again, but then we also have this Can't Train Ambition assignment as well that's due. I wonder why that's not showing up as a link. But that's the link to the video, if anybody's wondering. Let me see if I can take care of that. Any questions so far? That's not working. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's a little better. Okay, now it's at least a link. Okay. All right, so that's the weekly lab folder, or the folders, the lessons folders. I've tried to include the dates that they cover, and what chapters that they cover. And as I said, all the assignments should be in the lab's assignments folder. And then also it'll be on the calendar as well, as far as what's due when. Discussion boards. So we have quite a few discussion boards. Mainly each chapter has a discussion board. We do have the introductions to introduce yourself, and then you can't train ambition video to watch. I have an Ask Me discussion board. This is where if you have any questions that you have, you can ask me there. You can email me, or you can do Google Hangouts, or you can do the Ask Me discussion board. You can also post questions anonymously. So in this way, you can ask the question, and even I won't know who asked the question. So if there's just something that you're just not comfortable asking, whatever reason, if you feel more comfortable, you can ask the question anonymously, and I will respond to the question. Let's see here. I do have some resources for those of you that might be looking at the A+ exam. This does cover one of the exams, this course, and we do try to cover it in fairly good detail. But I've also put some additional resources out here. Professor Messer has a lot of free online training, videos, and that extra study aids for the A+, and I've put that here. And then I've got some Linux information as well, but that's if anyone's interested in the A+. All right, so the Net Labs, we'll be using Net Labs, and you'll go to this lab access for Net Labs. It's the easiest way. And it brings up this NetLab 04 at TCC. Your username will be your student ID, and the password will be password 01, all lowercase. And so then when you log in, it may look a little different from your end, but hopefully it doesn't. But you should be able to do a new lab reservation and then schedule for yourself, and then select my course, the Spicer ITSC1305, and then select if it's just the workstation lab or an Active Directory lab. The workstation lab is where you'll be building VMs and installing Windows and Linux, and those types of labs. Whereas the Active Directory lab is if you're actually working with Active Directory, you'll need to use this link to schedule. And then you'll click on it. You'll select the date and time. Hopefully, if you wanted to go in right then, you just click right below the arrow. And so you'll get it, and then just check how long the time is. This is for 48 minutes, but you could take it out for almost 2 hours, or you can adjust it. You can adjust your time as needed, and then you would submit, and then it's reserved, and then now you have the lab, and you can enter in the lab. So now I'm in the lab, and the workstation lab only has a single workstation. So I'll click on the workstation, it'll bring it up. Okay, well, that's going to take some time. All right. All right. And then I believe password. I believe password is the password. Yeah. And then now I've got access to the machine, of which this is a workstation lab. I would most likely be using the VMware, which is installed here. The workstation labs, if you wanted and you have ability, you can install VMware on your home computer and do your labs from your home computer. If you have the resources, it might be easier, faster to do that because it's doable on the net labs, but it is a little slow. But it is available. So that's getting into net labs. Let me just go ahead. I'm going to cancel this reservation. So if you're done, when you're done, you can enter in your reservation early if you need to. And I'm going to go ahead and schedule an Active Directory just to show you the difference between the two labs environments. All right. So in the Active Directory lab, we have 3 machines. We have a server, a Windows server, and 2 workstations, Windows 10 workstations. And they have their IP addresses that they need to have in order to function within those labs. But you'll see that there are 3 machines instead of 1 machine. And then you just launch it just by clicking on the machine, and you can have multiple machines in this one running, and you will need to in order to complete this lab. So we go to PCA, right, and then so PCA is open. So you may have to hit a send a Control-Alt-Delete to get to the login screens. And all right. So send a Control-Alt-Delete, and now I get to the admin screen, and its password should be the password for the servers and workstations in here as well. All right, so that's access to the Active Directory labs and the workstation labs on our net labs. I'm going to end this reservation. Any questions on getting into net labs? Because this will be important to get your labs done. Okay. All right, I'll move on. The Azure Lab, we're probably not going to use this, but it is a feature that you do have available. It is Microsoft. So you can sign in into there, and let me see. But there's all kinds of Microsoft software as well as virtual machines and that you do have access to. So you can download free software. And there's tons, but I believe this is where you would get Windows 10. Windows. Let me look. You can get Windows 8 Professional, but where is 10? There's Windows 10 Mobile. I just want to see where Windows 10. I know it's one of these education version, right? So Windows 10 education version right here, 64-bit. So you can get that, but there's all kinds of other software that you have. You can also do some virtual machines, but be careful with that. You know, they give you 200 free credit, but the money can add up real fast. So not all of it's free. There are some free features, but so be careful with that. But you know, definitely with the software is free to download. So I did want to point that out. We probably, like I said, we probably won't use that in the class. I may use it to showcase certain things every once in a while if the NetLabs has given us issues. But I just wanted to make sure that you are aware, because it is a feature that you get access to for being a student at TCC. You're in the course room, so you're going here, the course room. I'll have the scheduled sessions, like I said, depending on what the survey ends up with, and then I'll schedule them out for the rest of the semester. I will record the sessions just like I'm doing today. This recording I'll put in the lessons folder in the week 1 folder at the very top. So that's where I'll try and put them, is at the very top of the week that they occur, so that they're easily accessible and easy to find. The course ebook, it's here. By default, you are enrolled in the TCC Plus book for this course, so you have access to this electronic version of it. If you don't want access to the book, if you've bought the book or want a hard copy or have access to the book another way, you can request to opt out of the TCC Plus and then not be charged, because you were charged for this electronic version, and you can access it online here. And also, if you have the Vital Source bookshelf, you're supposed to be able to access it from there as well. But if you don't want the book, you go to TCCC and go to TCC Plus in the search field and do a search. It's this first link here, this TCC Plus. You click on it, and if you scroll down, there's a opt out or opt in to TCC Plus, and you just click on that. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Amy. And then so you can opt out of the TCC Plus here. But you can access the online book right here, very easy to access. And go over the syllabus. So obviously I won't be in my office due to COVID-19. This is my office phone number. You can still call it and leave a voicemail. I'll get an email with the voicemail, so that is one way to reach me, although the best way to reach me is email or Google Hangouts. I'm constantly looking at my email and phone for Google Hangouts, so those are easy ways to connect with me. So Google Hangouts, that's probably one thing. So if I go ahead, I don't know if any of you have used it, but if you just go to hangouts.google.com and then go to your TCC account, right? Log into your My TCC account, you'll have a Google Hangouts, and then I'll be able to communicate with you, and you should be able to find me as well, or just send me an invite. And I'll connect with you. Once again, it's my office hours, but I'm really very flexible and available. It doesn't have to be during these times. This is our textbook once again. So our grading scale, so 20% will be from projects. There'll be various projects. They'll be worth 20% of your grade. Homework, which is basically the discussion threads on the discussion boards. Those are 20% of your grade. The quizzes will be 10% of your grade. Labs will be 20% of the grade. The 3 exams will be 20% of your grade, and then the final will be 10% of your grade. And then this is the grading scale that I use. Basically, I round up, right? So the 89.5 and above is an A. Let's see here. Let's see. Late makeup. So quizzes have no due date, and thus they have no late penalty. Homework, labs, projects, I do assess 25% deducted for each calendar day that they're late. So after 4 days, it would be a 0. Exams, because we're an online format and the exams are available now, it'll be very rare that I'll give a makeup exam. It would have to be an extraordinary reason for a makeup exam, because you have access to it for easily a week after you've done all the reading and the homework and all that. But I do realize that there are some things that are beyond our controls, and I am very flexible. And makeup exams are usually made up that last week, the finals week, is when I usually do the makeup exams if there is a need for one. Extra credit, I don't give extra credit for any one student. If I do extra credit, everybody has an opportunity for it. And so I'll let you know if those become available, if we do have any. But like I said, I just won't do it individually. I'll do it for the whole class if I do it. Attendance policy, they do have a campus attendance policy here at the campus. This online class is a lot different. So like I said, we only have those 6 dates. So it's very easy to get past the 15% by just missing one assignment. So please don't miss one of the assignments. But I will work with, even normally on face-to-face, I work with students. I try not to drop anyone. I will work with them as long as they're willing to work with me. So just communicate with me, and there shouldn't be any issues with that. Scholastic dishonesty, so I definitely have the work be your own. Cite any information that you get from any websites or other resources. I mean, there's if there's a video, like I give you a video to watch and then say something about it, you don't have to cite the video. I gave you the resource, so I mean that I don't need. But if you go and get outside information, you should cite it. Although for most of my assignments, everything here should be self-contained, and you really shouldn't have to go outside for any information. Student accessibility, if you have a need or if there's something that I can be doing that will help you better succeed in the course, please let me know. Also let the SARS office know too, especially if it's related to a disability or anything like that. Definitely make sure that that's on file with the college. But I definitely will work and try to accommodate you in any way that we can. Especially since we've moved online, this is definitely a lot different than what most everybody's wanting to do. I know everybody likes the face-to-face, at least I do. If you have a preferred name, please let me know. I will utilize the preferred name as best I can. Give me time to learn it, but I definitely will use your preferred name if you have one. Classroom roles of contact, you just basically play nice, be respectful. I mean, that still kind of applies. The rest of them are more for the face-to-face class. But definitely be respectful to fellow classmates. Title IX. So this is a new law, and so we are required to cover this with everyone. Just if I become aware of or know of any way of sexual harassment or assaults or stalking any of these, I do have to report it. I am required now by law to report that. So just letting you know that you're aware of that issue. I'm happy to talk with you if you need help or assistance, but also know that I am legally obligated to report it. Let's see here. Come to class. I mean, ideally, you log into these online sessions. That would be great. We'd pass a lot of information that way and go over some details. Definitely, you'll want to log into your email account and the TCC account and check Blackboard, check the announcements on a daily basis, just to make sure nothing important is going on. But definitely work on this on a daily basis as much as you can, because this moves fast. It's a quick semester. Do the reading material, stay up to date, complete assignments, turn them in on time, and then definitely if you have any issues or anything, please ask me for help. I'm more than willing to help you. If email doesn't work, we can get on a Google Hangouts and you can even share your screen, show me what's going on. We can do those kind of sessions. They work out really well. And I'm available, and so please use me as a resource. I've got the schedule here as far as the class looks for this semester. All right, and of course you can also download this as a Word doc. You can download it and view it offline as well. All right, so I think I have covered all of the basic housekeeping, all the housekeeping that I wanted to cover. Does anyone have any questions so far on anything I've said today, or anything over any of the chapters that we're going over this week? If not, I will go into a few highlights of the chapters. All right. Okay. Take that as a no. Let me see here. Chapter 12. All right. Chapter 12, we talk a lot about versioning and installing the software. But so make sure you definitely get an idea of the different versions of 32 bits, 64 bits, and the additions. So as far as how much memory these allow. So the 32-bit has a max of 4 gigs. So that's pretty easy, right? It's 32 bits, it's 4 gigs. But then the 64-bit has varying degrees depending on what edition you have, right? So you might want to, know and get to know these values, especially if you're wanting to go for the A+. These will be very easily found on an A+ exam. So, let's see here. And then your minimum hardware requirements is another way. So 1 gigahertz or faster processor for both 64 or 32 bits. You have a minimum of 1 gig for 32 bits and 2 gigs for 64 bit. Free hard drive space, 16 gigs for 32 and 20 gigs for 64. And then you should have DirectX available on your video device for 32-bit or 64. So those are some other things that you should know, definitely for the A+, but also for some of the exams and quizzes. All right, an ISO. An ISO is an image or a file that is an image of a DVD or a CD, not, more or less a DVD now. And it makes it easy, especially for VMware and other tools, virtualization. It makes it easy to use the ISO image, the disk image. I'm just going to see if I wonder if I have a disk image. Oh, I know where I do. Let's see here. Let's go here on NetLabs. And so we'll be using the ISO images a lot, especially in the workstation lab. The best way to explain it is it's a collection of multiple files, but it's in such a format that a computer will see it as if it were a DVD disc. Oops. All right. So I'm going to go in here, VM directory. Okay, so I have some ISOs here. So I have Ubuntu, which is Linux, and then Windows 10 ISO. So this is a disk image file or ISO. So let me show the file extension. Right, so you can see that you might not be able to see it, but it's a .iso. So I'm going to right-click it. I'm going to mount this. Well, first, let me go back. So I have a C drive and a V drive right now. But I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to mount this ISO. And so now, if I go here, I now have a DVD E drive. I think it's an E drive. This is this ISO that I mounted. And so if I double click it, now you can see all the files. Yeah, it's so small. Yeah, I do apologize. But so you can see that now there's this DVD with folders and files. And so it's a full DVD. That's what an ISO is. It's basically a disk image, and by mounting it, now I can actually see what's in the disk or the DVD disk. But yeah, I wonder if I can make this bigger. No, is that it? Well, that didn't help much, did it? Helped a little, but yeah, it's so small. So I mean, it's yeah. Okay. No, you don't need glasses. It's just the net labs is so small. Um, and then let's see. I don't have a zoom. Don't have a zoom. Wow, that's as big as I can get it. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. That was interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's a little better. So, right. So here's the drive now in the folders, right? Which is really just this ISO here, this Windows ISO. I right-clicked and did a mount, and so it mounts it to this E drive. And so then now I can go through the ISO file. And so it's got all these folders and files, of which one of the most important one in a Windows ISO is this install. This is encrypted. It's an install.esd. But you can see it's 3.5 gigs. So this file is 3.5 gigs. And basically what this is Windows itself. It's the Windows System 32 folders and Windows itself, all compressed into one single file. So it's really the heart and soul of this ISO. Because if I go, let me go back here and go to the ISO folder. The whole file, all those files and folders is only 4.1 gig. So that one file is like 90% of the ISO, right? It has hundreds or thousands of files, but the one single file is 3.5 gigs. And that's how you install Windows. And it's just a copy of a default, and it just copies the folders and files that are in your Windows folder. And so actually, and then kind of move into chapter 11 a little bit here. So in chapter 11, we go with the file explorer and that. But if we go into the C drive, which is normally your Windows drive, and then Windows, right? And then go to System 32. This here is like one of the most important folders on your machine. It has access to, well, one, you can get to your, let's see, drivers, etc. You can get to some major files here, your host files, your services, networks, things like that. But more importantly, almost all of your tools and utilities can be found. I highly recommend you kind of coming in here and seeing some of these EXEs. Do it on a VM. Don't do it on your own machine. But there are a lot of utilities in here that you'll like the AT command. It's a scheduler. Let's see here. What else? There's a lot of other things in here. BCD boot edit. This like I say, definitely don't do it on your machine, but this can edit how your machine boots. And let's see here, BitLocker. Yeah, you definitely don't run BitLocker on your machine. That encrypts. That's encryption, drive encryption. But there's a lot of tools in here. MMC. So let's go to M. Do you want to talk about this for chapter 11? Is this concept? There. So this is a good tool. Microsoft Management Console, or MMC. You can get to it from the System32 folder, or you can just type MMC at the search prompt and you can get it. And then of course you can pin it, or run it as an administrator. But this is like the Swiss Army knife of utilities for managing Windows. You go to File, Add, and Remove snap-ins. And they've got all these management tools that are available that you can put in. Computer management, by far, a useful tool. This is asking, do I want to run utility on my computer, or do I want to run it remotely on another computer? And I'll just put it on my local computer, but I'll say that it can be changed when I launch the command. And then you got group policies, another great one. Local users and computers. This is how you can manage users and computers. Once again, this is the local computer, a remote computer, or you can allow to change it. You can do performance monitor, services. We'll just do that. Once again, local or remote. Do I want to be able to change it? I'm just going to say okay. I just added 4 tools, but now I've got them in here, and then I can do a file, save as, and then that's my tools, right? And then I can put that on my desktop. And so now I close that, and then I can go my tools. And so I'm going to open it, and it's got my 4 tools that I've already put in there. And so I can do all kinds of things, such as I can manage my disk drives. I can manage my services. So I can stop and start a service. Right? Let's branch cache. Right? So I can start this. Yeah. Okay. I didn't think I could. Branch cache is an advanced feature. It's not configured. That's okay. Oh, let's do print spooler. I can stop my printers, and all my printers now would have stopped on my machine, and then I can start them. That is sometimes very useful in helping with printing issues, especially on a print server, a server that has multiple printers on it. And then you got security policies, things that you can do. I mean, this, like I say, it's the Swiss Army knife, and this is just 4 of the tools that I put on there, and you can get other snap-ins called administrative tools from servers, and you can manage servers from within this tool. It's really powerful. But that's the MMC. Let me see here. Oh yeah, let me go ahead and let's see. I don't need this. Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. I might need it. So slide 14. So that's here on chapter 11, slide 14, right? So it's got, oh, wow, is that, let's see. So it's right here, the Microsoft Management Console, but you've got other things as well that we learned about it, or will learn about in chapter 11, the control panel, power options, the system window, etc. Then also in chapter 11, we talk about the MS info. That's another good one. So I guess we'll do this. So MS info, the system information. You can gather all kinds of information on this, especially about your hardware, right? So do you know, what kind of hardware you have? Do you have any conflicts? What IRQs or memory that are using? Don't worry about it right now, but I mean, you might learn about this in the hardware class, but definitely when you're dealing with hardware information, this used to be a big issue. We used to have very limited IRQs, but now you can see that there's like hundreds of IRQs, which I would have definitely killed for when I was starting out. There was like about 5 or 6 that were available, and it was really hard to get multiple hardware to work. If you wanted to have a network connection and a sound card, it could be very challenging to get that to work. But so this is the MS info. It's got a lot of information. Let's see where. All right. 43. So we touched on the Active Directory a little bit. So work groups and home groups, they're peer-to-peer networks. So there's no servers involved, or there doesn't have to be any servers. And any machine connects to any other machine. In Active Directory, we use a domain, and that requires at least one, but usually more servers. But you have to have at least one server to host the Active Directory, and then everybody connects to that Active Directory server or servers. But it's a centralized point. It's no longer this peer-to-peer, and it's centrally managed. And so that's our domain. So you have the client-server concept, where that's where the servers get involved in an Active Directory domain. And that's you'll learn about more in our Active Directory labs. But it is a great concept. Whereas with work groups and home groups, you have to manage users on each machine. Every one of these machines, it has to have a list of users that can use the device or even connect remotely. So for this Windows 8 machine to connect to this Windows 10 machine and use a file or use this printer. So this has got a local printer, right? For this Windows 8 machine to use this printer attached to this machine, they have to have a user on this machine, on this Windows 10 machine, and on this Windows 8 machine. And so you have to manage all those users, and it gets to be a nightmare. Whereas in Active Directory, if you have a server, then you have all the users on the server, and you only have to have them once. And so it's very easy to manage all the users and groups and devices from a central location. Whereas in the home group, work group, you have to manage it on each device and each machine. And it's okay, like in this example where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 machines, 5 users. It's not that hard to manage, but it can get difficult, and when you get over 10, it gets really hard to maintain any kind of network over that size. You're gonna have conflicts. You're gonna have users that get access that shouldn't have access, and you'll have old user accounts and things like that, and passwords that don't match, and people having all kinds of access issues. It's just going to happen on a peer-to-peer, whereas with a domain and centrally managed, it's not going to happen as often, and usually you have a lot better experience when you get into the larger groups. And so let's see here. And then dealing with difficult customers. That was the last half of our chapter 11. So this definitely is a skill to learn. You definitely need some patience to deal with difficult customers. You need to be very specific with your instructions. Give them plenty of opportunity to ask questions. But there are also times where the customers will lie to you. One experience that I have that I'd love to share is I was doing printer support for a large company, and the call came in. I called the customer. They were saying they couldn't print. I was able to remotely pull up the printer because they were located in Canada. I was at the time located in Illinois, and I was asking the customer a series of questions, and then by the time I got through a few of the questions, the printer had finally connected and came up, and it told me that it was out of paper. And so I could actually see the display from the printer as if you were looking at the printer, and the printer was out of paper. This is why the user was not able to print. So I asked them if they could check and see if the printer had paper, and they come back and say, yes, it has paper. And I have to state, my screen is showing that it's out of paper. They got a little perturbed and then said, well, you need to come and add the paper. I'm too busy. And I was like, I would love to, but the company's not going to pay for me to fly from Illinois to Canada, and I don't think you're going to wait for a couple of days either. But that was a wake-up call to me, that the customers won't tell you the truth sometimes, and it's very frustrating. But you have to handle them with kid gloves, if you will. And but there's some good tips in here on how to deal with difficult customers. But I wanted to also let you know that you'll run into times where they're not going to exactly tell you everything, and you have to trust but verify. And you have to use a lot of troubleshooting, problem solving skills, especially if you have to walk somebody through the phone and you're not able to see what they see, and they're a novice user. It can be really challenging to walk them through. So you do have to develop a lot of patience, and also the ability to step somebody through certain routine steps too. because it's really easy for you to skip over a step if you've done it 100 times, or 1,000 times. You got to take it really slow for the users. Anyway, so those are some of the highlights from our chapter 12 and chapter 11. I do have, of course, the full videos covering the entire slides for both chapters. They're in the lessons folder for week 1 in this reservation. So if you go into here, the lessons in week 1, all right, there's chapter 12 videos and chapter 11 videos. So I do go through the whole slide deck. So please make sure you go through those. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Are there any questions now, currently? Anything that I can go over? Anything you would like me to have gone over that I didn't? Did you have a question, Robert? Or oh no, right. You can complete it on your own at home machine on VMware. I just need the screenshots, either from NetLabs or your computer. Yeah, you are not required to log into NetLabs. Although you probably have to for the Active Directory labs, but unless you can install Active Directory at home. If you have that at home or can do that at home, then yeah, you can do all the labs at home. Yeah, you're welcome. No, I don't think so. I just all you need to do for most of them, well, most of the labs, you'll just submit the script files or just the text files for a lot of them, because I do have a lot of automated scripts, but you'll need to use the labs to probably test them and make sure that they work. But otherwise, you would just use a snippet tool, right? And just take a screenshot of parts of the labs, just to prove that you have it, and then copy and paste that into Word and submit that. That's all I usually require. But most of the labs, now that I was thinking about which class this is, a lot of them are going to be the actual command, the commands to automate it, because I do try to teach that on how to automate it. But this first labs, it's more of just doing the screenshot that you've installed the VMs, and then you were able to create the VMs. So just a snipping tool, snapshot would be fine. Or whatever screenshot tool you have, if you're using a Mac or something like that. Just like, yeah, on this build environment, right, yeah, screenshots of the VMs running within VMware. What is Active Directory? Yeah, take a screenshot of the system's property window, right, showing the computers in the domain, right. So very simple screenshots. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I will let you go for the day. And but please don't hesitate to email me or hit me up on Google Hangouts if you have any questions. But it's great to have you in the class, and I'm looking forward to this semester. Thanks, everyone. You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome, Hayden. It's good to see you again.